I found a wedding invitation in my boyfriend's drawer. He was listed as the groom, but some woman I've never heard of was listed as the bride. Yeah, y'all aren't ready for this one. I had been dating my boyfriend for 2 years. We lived together, had a dog together. We even had a shared Google Calendar called Our Future, where we put all upcoming dates of things we were planning on doing. So one weekend, he tells me that he's gonna go visit his parents. I'm like, okay, great, fine. I wanted to get some stuff done around the house, and it was much easier when he was not there. And as I'm cleaning in our bedroom, my eyes just kind of drift over to his junk drawer, which is in the nightstand next to the side he sleeps on. And let me tell you, this man has always been so weird about this drawer. Anytime I even get near it, he's like, don't go next to it. It's private. That's my stuff. That's my drawer. You can't go in there. Like, okay. He's so defensive about it that it just felt wrong. And to be honest with you, it's my home. Anything that's in my home is my business. You can't just have things in my house and feel like you can't tell me what it is. So naturally, I decide to go through it. And I'm digging through cables and cords and receipts. And that's when I see a thick envelope. Inside is really nice quality cardstock and embossed gold lettering. It's a wedding invitation. And my first thought is, he got invited to a wedding and didn't tell me? That's weird. But no, way worse. So then I start reading the invitation and it says, "You are cordially invited to attend the wedding of my boyfriend's name to some random girl. Let's call her Melissa." I was like, who's Melissa? I have never heard the name Melissa in my life. And then I look, the date, it's in 2 months. This is not like he had some secret fiance and they broke off the engagement years ago. No, this is an upcoming wedding. And the dates of the wedding were dates that he told me he was going to be on a business trip. So he really planned ahead for this. So obviously the first thing that I do is Google the woman, and yeah, she is real. She's gorgeous. Honestly, we kind of look alike. He is a type. The man has a type, let me tell you. And the worst part, her bio of her social media was future Mrs. his last name. I was like, I'm gonna crash out. I'm gonna crash out. So I do the only logical thing I can think of. I DM Melissa because I'm not going to give my boyfriend the opportunity to come up with some kind of lie. So I sent her a message and was like, "Hey girly, I think that your fiance may be my boyfriend." And she doesn't respond, but within 15 minutes, you know who does? My boyfriend. And he is screaming at me. He's telling me, "You just ruined my entire life. You were just someone to pass time with. Melissa's the real love of my life." I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Why are you acting like I was some kind of side chick? We were together for 2 years, lived together. Like, we were in a very serious relationship. I was already so hurt, but then hearing him make our relationship seem like it was so worthless, that it meant nothing to him when it was incredibly serious. I met his family. He met my family. So his family all knew he had 2 relationships going. Isn't that insane? And I knew he was going to try to lie his way out of this. So I sent Melissa all the proof I had, our lease with both of our names on it, photos of us, text messages we were sending earlier that day, telling each other we loved each other. I mean, irrefutable proof that we were in a very serious relationship. Because I know if it was the other way around and Melissa would have found out and came to me saying my boyfriend was cheating, I wouldn't have believed her because there were no signs to me that my boyfriend was cheating on me other than the weird junk drawer thing. Then I took the dog and I got the heck out of that apartment. I never wanted to see that man ever again. And so sad for him, but the wedding was canceled. How do I know? Because me and Melissa, we've actually become friends. You would think that maybe she would hate me, but she knew that we were both in the exact same position. We were both duped by this man, and we're getting drinks next week, so that should be fun. Moral of the story, be nosy. Always check the junk drawer.
Hey guys, I'm Riley. I'm an alcoholic. I traveled Route 66 alone in full-blown alcoholism. I got kicked out of my first rehab for fraternizing. Looking back, I should have been kicked out a lot sooner. Let's get into it. Okay, so naturally, I show up to rehab drunk. If you're showing up to rehab sober, my hat is off to you, because how? I have been sipping an Arby's cup filled with half a liter of vodka and a drop of Coca-Cola the entire time, the entire drive. My dad's like, "Have you been drinking?" And I'm like, "No." And then they breathalyze me in front of him. So anyways, they take all my belongings and they put me in scrubs because they literally had to wash everything that I brought with me. Safety measures, I'm not really sure. Then they put me with a girl and they're like, "She's going to show you around the facility." This facility was huge. It was out in the middle of BFE, Indiana. It was in the woods. It was like a woodland retreat, okay? It was beautiful, honestly. The drive, up to the actual facility took like 20 minutes. So if you wanted to escape, you were doing like a lot of walking and a lot of hiking. I literally got there, I'm like, oh my God, it's so woodsy in here. So the girl that's giving me a tour starts walking me around and basically just starts talking about her rehab boyfriend. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting all the tea. I've been here for 20 minutes and I'm getting the tea. She's like, see that guy over there? Like, me and him, like, we're in love. Now, this is my first time at rehab. I'm literally like, oh, cool. Like, when's the fucking wedding? Literally, this is what it's like. She's like, so like over there, if you like squint your eyes, that's like where we eat. And then like, if you look over there, like, that's the basketball court. I'm looking at a basketball court. And there was a guy playing basketball. And she was like, oh, and that guy, we'll call him Jimmy Neutron. She's like, that's Jimmy Neutron. Stay away from him. Right. Cool. Duly noted. And I'm like squinting my eye and like, I'm like, you know what? Jimmy Neutron's not that bad looking. In fact, he's like actually pretty cute. The thing about rehab is the four walls will make you go crazy. What would be maybe a 4 on the outside is like easily a rehab 8. And that's just science. Anywho, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away from Jimmy Neutron. That's where I eat. Basketball court. Cool. So then, I settle in. They finally bring me all my perm pressed dry clean clothes. And I'm noticing like a bunch of articles are missing. They're like, you can't wear those. So we're just like going to keep them here until you leave. Mind you, it was the start of summer, okay? I'm like, I didn't know what to bring. I had no idea what to bring to rehab. I didn't know where really I was going, what the weather was going to be like. I'm the type of person, if I go on a weekend vacation, I am bringing 2 weeks worth of stuff. So like, I was panicking, okay? But that's neither here nor there. They did leave in some cute little tank tops and I'm like, I might wear those. So nighttime rolls around, I go to bed, okay? I was withdrawing and fell into a sweat-ridden sleep for 2 hours. And I wake up the next day and the ladies come in and they're like, this is your little buddy. She's gonna stay with you for like the next 2 days. You guys are gonna she's gonna show you how this thing works. It's the same girl. I'm like, okay, period. So I'm like, first day of rehab, like, I gotta look cute. I put on my like 3-finger roll tank top and I'm walking around like, body tea, Boston wants to have a party for it. I'm walking around this rehab trying to be like the most mysterious creature on earth. I'm like, pick me is what we would call that. But anyways, I'm like, nobody would understand. And I'm like making eye contact with the boys. They're like, don't look at me. Like, so pick me. And so I'm with the girl and we're talking and we're with the other girls. We're kind of chopping it up. I'm getting the ropes. I'm like, rehab isn't that bad. I'm having a good time. Then we go to like our first group, okay? They had a piece of tape down the middle of the room. Girls on this side, boys on this side, staff in the middle. Hey. During group, it was a group. So like everybody could talk. There was a lot of crosstalk happening, all for the sake of recovery and getting better. So it was like a roundabout way for the women to talk to the men without getting in trouble. Because I learned very quickly, like the men and women were not allowed to commingle. This rehab was pretty strict on that actually. So, okay, naturally when you put men and women in close quarters, they're gonna commingle. It happens. We're leaving that group and Jimmy Neutron like comes up to me and he says like, you're looking a lot better today than you did yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, it's this tank top. Oh, I was such an attention seeker. I was so desperate for attention. I was literally like, oh my gosh, he's obsessed with me. Now, my little friend who had been showing me the ropes and stuff, I had asked her, I said, how are you and this guy in love? Like, how do you even talk? Like, there's no commingling. And she's like, oh, we write each other notes. And I'm like, oh, you can do that? And she's like, no, not technically. Oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, that sounds really middle school, whatever. So next thing I know, it's the 3rd day, okay? This is my 3rd day in treatment. And this girl comes up to me. Now, this girl I had assessed as like the mother. Like she ran shit. She's like the one when you're in like prison or Orange is the New Black that you don't fuck with. She has the ins and outs on everything at that rehab. She actually was court ordered to be there and then was going to turn herself in when she left. It was crazy. She was a bad bitch, okay? She comes up to me and she's like, hey, Jimmy Neutron wants to know if he can write you a note. I'm like, oh, well, I guess. Like, I don't see the harm in it. How would I get it? She's like, don't worry about it. Like, legit. I was like, oh shit, okay. I might get in trouble for this, but fuck it. Like, it's rehab. It's rehab. Like, my parents didn't spend $3,000 for me to be there. I was so stupid. In hindsight, don't do that. If somebody wants to pass you a note, just say, I politely decline. That's all you have to do. And you don't have to involve yourself. So anyways, one thing leads to another, and me and Jimmy Neutron are writing letters back and forth. He's like, I'm from so-and-so, and like, my mom, and like, you seem different. I'm like, oh my God, this is my person. Ah. When I tell you, this treatment center was frat city, fraternization city, not frat city. There were so many couples, people that were couples on the outside coming in and like still talking and like kissing. And I mean, it happened quite a lot. And you started hearing stories like people meeting up in the woods. There was like a yoga mat out in the woods, and like people would give you the details on how to get there. Like the infamous yoga mat in the woods. What? I'm like taken aback at all the commingling. Anywho, so one of the desperate couples that wants to see each other, they sneak into the supply closet somehow, one of them does, and gets a hold of a screwdriver. Because each of our rooms were like a sliding glass door that led directly into the woods. And like you could just walk outside that door if you had a screwdriver to unscrew the screw that was keeping it shut, and just walk over to the boys' side, or the boys walk over to the girls' side. Like, it was not hard, and we were not very far apart by woods. And that's what people started doing. They used the screwdriver to unscrew the battery alarm system screw so they could just slide the door out and go and talk to their boyfriends. And did I do it? Like, maybe. Yeah, I did. I would like meet up with people. Boys and girls, we'd all like group together and go smoke cigarettes out in the woods. Like, just having a good time at rehab, right? That's what it's all about, right? Breaking the rules, not actually trying to better myself. Yeah. Anyways, there were other points of contention between me and the staff as well. So they knew I was fraternizing. They couldn't pin me for writing notes, but they knew that like this guy liked me because he started telling his therapist, and she's like, how are you guys talking? And he's like, well, it was fucked, okay? And the nail in my coffin was, on the boys' side was the gym, the piano room, whatever. We were only allowed to go there if a staff member went with us, but one day the staff just let me go by myself. There was a ping pong table in there, and we start setting up all our little water cups and start playing water pong, which in hindsight, yeah, that's probably not a healthy activity to be doing in rehab. And I was the one who started it. So when they came in my room and they were like, Riley, you have to leave and we're kicking you out, your mom's on her way, I freaked out and was very apologetic in the moment. And looking back, that was like all really fucked up. Like, I was not doing anything that I was supposed to be doing when my parents had paid so much money for me to be there. But I will never forget, my mom picked me up and she was like, do not let this set you back. Do not let you getting kicked out of rehab set you back. And I interviewed for my sober living here in Charleston, and I've been here ever since. They let me in, okay? And I went a week later. So I guess everything works out the way it does, but this is just a cheeky little story about me getting kicked out of rehab.
If you're thinking about giving birth, first of all, don't. Unless you really want to. But if it's too late and you're already doing it, I just want to tell you this so that you don't freak out. Well, you're going to freak out, but so you don't freak out too much if this happens. Okay, so birth, as someone else on TikTok put it, a near-death experience. What's actually borderline 1,000 times worse is after you get home from your near-death experience, you go insane. Doctors call it baby blues, which is a cute way of saying whether you like it or not, your brain is going to turn against you and think the most psychotic thoughts you could possibly think, like, can I give this thing up for adoption? What are my outs here? What do I do? Also, who is this kid? Number one thing that tripped me out is I thought when I saw my baby, I'd be like, oh my God, it's you. It's always been you. First of all, the first time I saw my baby, I was on ketamine, so there was that. But even after the come down, I was looking at him like, who is this random baby? who's this random baby? And I started panicking. I'm like, uh-oh, I feel like this is a random baby. I don't feel like I think how I'm supposed to feel about it. I feel worse is I started thinking about my dog and I'm like, okay, that's love. Like I love my dog. And the contrast between the feeling I felt for my dog and the feeling I had for my baby started tripping me out. I started bawling. I was like, oh my God, I don't love the baby and I do love the dog and I have to prioritize the baby. I can't even fucking walk my dog because they had to cut me open to take this baby out. I can't even walk. Start going, it's my worst fear. Oh my God, I was right. I couldn't love anything more than my dog. Sobbing every day. Baby's home. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't feel anything. My dad, old school man. My dad's like, what do you mean you don't feel anything? That's your baby. That's your son. I'm looking at him just dead behind the eyes, tears down my face. I go, nothing. He goes, nothing. It's just 2 weeks ago. Like we're laughing about it now, but like messaged every single person in my fucking phone who had a kid. And I was like, did you love your kid right away? Did you see your kid and say, yes, I know this kid? Let me just tell you, every single person said no. Not one person said to me, as soon as I saw them, I go, so where's this myth coming from? He's a random boy. Like he's a boy named Jack. Like, who are you? What makes me feel better about the whole thing is that I'm sure he's thinking the same thing about me. Everybody's like, he knows you're his mama. I'm like, oh, it's like maybe what my breast milk smells like. Like, we're kind of having to like do this together. It's like we just got paired together on a group project. Every day I grow more fond of this random little boy that I own? No. How do you say that? I have a little boy. Oh, I also wanted to say it's normal if at the beginning you think to yourself, why the fuck did I do this? Interesting choice. I don't understand anything that made my brain think this was a good idea back then. I was happy when I got pregnant. Why? Interesting. Seems like life was pretty good. And now I just blew it the fuck up. Sobbing, telling my husband I ruined both our lives. He's like, okay. Once again, message everybody in my phone. Everybody was like, yeah, I thought I ruined my life too. It's just to say, if you're having these thoughts that you really wish you weren't having, it's just normal and no one tells you that it's normal. Instead, they just call it baby blues, which is a cute couple of words. Way to say you fucking question everything you've done in your entire life and feel like you've made an irreparable mistake and now have a stranger that you're supposed to love unconditionally but don't feel that way right away for. Interesting term for that. Baby blues. Just a trip because when you leave the hospital and they say, oh, you might just start crying. It's like, okay, you can tell me how I'm going to heal, but you can't tell me how I'm going to feel, you know, dog? But damn, they read me to filth. I cried more postpartum than I've ever cried in my entire life. Inconsolable. Couldn't open my mouth without crying. Like people couldn't call me on the phone. I couldn't answer. Like, sorry, I'm sobbing. And I still have moments like that, but they're just fewer and farther between. So I feel like it is getting better. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. How many times have I repeated myself in this? I don't know.
I'm finally ready to tell you guys about the creepiest influencer I encountered when I was living out in LA. The story starts in 2016 when I met them for the first time. At this point, I was still living in Arizona, but I would just randomly drive out there for a couple of days. I don't know why. But while I was out there, this male influencer, we're gonna call him Lennon, pretty close to his first name, but I'm not trying to get sued, so we gotta use a code name. So when I first met this guy, it was very obvious that he was just trying to do a quick hookup type of thing, so I kept it quick and short and I didn't plan on ever seeing him again. A couple months later, me and my friend Alexia ended up moving out there together, and one of my first friends that I made was Denzel Dion. And one day he asked me, hey, do you have any other friends out here? And I mentioned Lennon, that it was just like a quick little interaction, and he told me, oh, that's actually my friend. Honestly, girl, I don't know who invited him, but just randomly one day he showed up to one of our hangouts and he just kind of became a member of our group. I kid you not, maybe only 2 or 3 weeks into us all hanging out, he got a little too comfortable, and all of a sudden he's saying all these degrading things to me out loud in public. Like, we'll be in the middle of a restaurant and he's talking about what he wanted to do to me and just all this crazy stuff, and we were so embarrassed. And he doesn't just stop at the nasty talk. Eventually he starts groping, touching me, and just being super like touchy. When he would do these things, I would yell at him and be like, can you stop? Like, can you keep your hands to yourself? But everybody would just laugh about it. So eventually it just became like a normal thing, which is so strange to say out loud. Girl, one day I had enough and I just snapped. I went off on him and he exited the friend group. Fast forward, my lease is up and I move into this apartment complex in Glendale that all of my friends were living at, so we could all just be together all the time. Like, I'm talking about breakfast together, lunch, shopping, dinner, falling asleep at each other's places, and then restarting the next day. We were all very close. One day, me and another girl in the friend group were just talking about boys, and I brought Lennon up and I told her how he made me feel so uncomfortable and just how nasty he was towards me. So when I tell you I was shocked when they started dating, so now Lennon is at every breakfast, lunch, dinner, hangout, and if he was a normal, decent human being that wasn't weird as fuck, you would think that, oh, that would be fine. The past was the past. He has a girlfriend now, so like he's not gonna be weird towards you. Wrong. We would be in a small ass sushi restaurant and he'd be rubbing up all on her, but looking me in the eye. Like, I would always purposely try to sit as far away as possible from him so he could not look at me, because he was always constantly doing this weird shit. He'd be looking right at me and like trying to pull my friend's shirt off. Eventually we decided that we all want to go to Miami, and I told my friends, please do not invite him. Like, can we just make this a friends trip? No boyfriends, no girlfriends. But no, Lennon ends up booking a flight as well. And when we're all boarded on this plane, we're looking around like, where are they at? Why did this man start a fight saying he didn't want to go because I was going to be there, so they missed their plane? They ended up catching another flight and they met us there later on. There ends up being this huge fight at the dinner table, and while we're walking back to our hotel, this guy is behind me texting me how much he hates me, like literally walking 10 feet behind. Your girl had other friends that lived in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, so I just made the best of the trip and did my own thing after that. We go back home and he doesn't stop his shit. Every time I'm around, he's starting a fight, he's starting an issue with me. Sometimes I would go, he wouldn't be there, and he would eventually just show up. So I just kind of made my own other friends outside of the group. So if me and my new friends would walk into a party and I would see him there, I'd be like, okay, let's go somewhere else. It's so crazy to me how I vented to this girl about all the crazy stuff, because it was bad. And then she went on and dated him. So when I saw that TikTok that went viral a couple months ago of that girl saying that he was her childhood and middle school bully, I was not surprised, because he's the king of making people fucking uncomfortable.
I did makeup on a bridesmaid who refused to pay me. So when I book my weddings, I typically only do trials for my brides. Everyone else, we chit chat day of, and I work my magic. So I walked in feeling confident, feeling good, and I was just ready to start my day. The first one that was in my chair was the mother of the bride. Literally sweetest woman ever. Wanted very minimal, very soft glam makeup, almost like a no makeup look. Easy peasy. So they started off great. She loved it. Everything was good, and it was time for the next bridesmaid. So first up, I have the Maid of Honor. So she sits down in the chair, and I have my typical mini consult that I have with everyone. Kind of just go over the same questions. How often do you wear makeup? How glam are we feeling today? Do you have any inspo pictures? And she tells me, usually wear a lot of makeup, but given the occasion, I want to go more full glam. And I'm like, cool, say less. So if that's the case, what do you want to do on your eyes? And she says, oh, I don't really care what you do on the eyes, because anything that you do is going to be much better than what I do. First red flag. So we narrowed it down. We decided that we were going to do a little bit of a smoky eye with a pop of like a champagne sparkle on the lid. So still keeping it classy bridal, but she wanted a little more depth on the eye. She specifically said smoky. So we went over some colors and some palettes that I had, and we narrowed down some colors that she wanted to stick with. I decided to do like a nice smoky outer corner, but keeping the lid very clean and smoking out just slightly on the lash line, a liner just to give some definition to the eye. So I get the shadow done, add like a nice medium lash, because I feel like if I went overboard with a lash, it would be too much for the look. And just as I start her base, she says, wait, can I see my eyes real quick? Which is a second red flag for me. So I'm like, sure, you want to see the eyes beforehand? Totally fine. So I'm handing her the mirror, but before she looks at it, I told her, it's only the eyes done, and you won't get the full effect of the makeup look until the full face is done. So she looks at herself and she goes, do you think that we can go a tad heavier on the smoky eye? And I looked at her and I said, sure, not a problem. But I recommend that we wait until the full face is done so that she can get the full effect. And she said, no, I'm pretty sure I'm going to want it darker. So you can go ahead and just add some of the depth now. And if you need to add more depth after the foundation is done, fine. Okay, cool, no problem. But I let her know and I gave her a warning. I cannot remove depth. So if we're going to add depth now, there's no way to take back what we've done. Period. And she was like, nope, I for sure want the depth, so go ahead and add it. Okay, cool. So I add more depth and I totally go in, smoke it out a little bit more, and then I gave the eyeliner a little more depth. I used a darker shade and smoked it out even more. I got the entire face done. I hand her the mirror and she says, is there any way to lighten it a little bit? So I paused gave her the look, really thought about my next words, and I said, remember 15 minutes ago when I warned you about going darker? And she said, I know, but I think I want it just a tad lighter. And I looked at her and I said, if I try to fix it, it will get patchy and it will look muddy. And she said, well, can't you just put a lighter shade over it? And I said, no, because that is what would make it look patchy or muddy. The only way to get the results is to scrap this look and start over again, which I did not have time for. So she's still looking at herself in the mirror and she goes, you know what? She said, actually, I think this is going to be perfect because in the pictures, it's going to show up more that I'm wearing makeup. If I were to be wearing less, it wouldn't show up as much. So I'm fine with it. We're good. Okay, cool. Moving on. She leaves the chair, and then my next person is my bride. So we made minor adjustments, finished her makeup. She was completely happy, looked beautiful. However, while I was doing the bride's makeup, I did notice that everyone else was in the room except for the Maid of Honor. She went totally MIA. So at this point, I kind of had a gut feeling. I knew what was going on, but I kind of just wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt because I didn't want to stress myself out any further than what I had already been stressed out doing the Maid of Honor's makeup. So I finished up with the bride, everything's great, and just as I'm starting to pack up, I hear a, hey, do you think that you can fix my eyeshadow? And I already knew who it was, and I stood there for a second, took a deep breath in, and I slowly turned around to look at her. And of course, it's the Maid of Honor, and of course, my feeling was right, and she was gone in the bathroom trying to lighten her own eyeshadow. The shadow was so awful. It was chalky, it looked muddy, and for sure it was patchy, and it looked like she used a different color shimmer over top the smoky part to try to tone that down too, which only in turn made it look even worse. At this point, I'm irritated now. My patience are being tested, and I'm really trying hard to just keep myself composed and stay professional. So I look at her and I say, there's no fixing this. Whatever you did, there's literally no fixing this. The only way to fix this would be to remove and start all over again. But we have zero time for that. So she looks at me, so disgusted, looks at me and goes, what I did, this is what you did. Ma'am, excuse me? Seriously? Because one thing about me, there's no way in hell that I would leave you looking like that. Promise you that much. So she starts arguing with me, telling me basically if I don't fix my mistake, she's not going to be paying me. This was a while ago, mind you, like years ago when your girl didn't ask for a payment up front before the wedding. Things have changed now. Mama got her ducks in a row. However, I looked at her and I said, you have two options. Option one, we can let you walk down the aisle with what you did to your own eyes. Or two, we can wipe it off. You'll be late to the ceremony and you're going to pay me for 2 services. And she done lost her marbles after that point, flipped out and walked out and didn't come back into the room. Needless to say, she did not pay. The bride actually ended up covering her portion.
Am I in the wrong for moving out without notice after my roommate secretly rented out my bedroom as an Airbnb? I, 25 female, lived with my roommate, Heather, 26 female, for about a year. We weren't best friends, but we got along well enough. Or so I thought. We split chores, bills were always paid on time, and we gave each other space. It was honestly a pretty good setup. About a month ago, I decided to spend the weekend visiting my parents in another city. I let Heather know in advance, like I always do, just out of courtesy. When I came back on Sunday evening, there were strangers in my room, sleeping in my bed. At first, I thought I had the wrong apartment. That's how surreal it was. Turns out, while I was away, Heather decided to list my bedroom on Airbnb to make a little extra cash, without asking, without telling me. When I confronted her, she looked at me like I was being dramatic. Relax, I moved your important stuff into the hall closet so nothing would get damaged. You weren't using the room anyway, and we could all use the extra money. Besides, they gave you a 5-star review of how cozy it was. I was stunned. She had taken pictures of my room, my personal things, my bed, my decor, and posted them online for total strangers to see. She had strangers sleeping in my sheets, going through my stuff in my private space without permission. I didn't yell, I didn't argue. I just packed a weekend bag, grabbed my laptop and valuables, and went to crash at a friend's place. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly found a new apartment. I gave no notice. I didn't pay last month's rent. I left a simple note on the kitchen counter the day I officially moved my stuff out. Heather, renting out my private bedroom without my permission was a massive violation of trust. I no longer feel safe living here. Effective immediately, I'm terminating my share of the lease. Good luck. Heather absolutely lost it. She's been blowing up my phone and even tried showing up at my place. I didn't let her in, claiming that I screwed her financially and abandoned my responsibilities. Some of our mutual friends are torn. A few agree that what she did was insane, but others think I should have handled it more maturely and at least helped her find a replacement roommate. So